Hello and welcome. I'm Vineet Malhotra and you are watching Current Issues. A chronic shortage of organs available for transplant fuels a booming black market trade of body parts in our country. Recently, 5 doctors, including the CEO and director of a top private hospital in Mumbai, were arrested for their alleged involvement in the kidney selling racket. Each year, around 2,000 people in India illegally sell their kidneys for just 3 lakhs to the unscrupulous gangs who then sell the organ for up to 1 crore rupees. According to the World Health Organization, the trade has risen to such a level that around 10,000 black market operations take place annually worldwide, more than one an hour. Although the market for hearts, lungs and other body parts is relatively small, the kidneys make up the biggest proportion of transplants because donors can survive with just one. On Current Issues today, we look at the thorny issue of illegal trade of organs and gross inequity of our medical system with our guest who will be joining us. Let me start by welcoming Aishwarya Bhati, who is the lawyer for Supreme Court. She'll be joining us from Delhi. T.R. Kakkar, former Delhi Police Commissioner. He's joining us from Ghaziabad, and with me in the studio is Dr. Jitender Kumar, Director of Nephrology in the Asian Hospital. Dr. Jitender Kumar, let me start off by you. The recent case that took place in Mumbai highlights a mess. It highlights a gross neglect. It also highlights the lack of a proper law to punish, monitor and streamline the trade of organs.
I sincerely believe that doctor must work within the limits of ethics and legality. But the story is not that small, you know. It's not as simple as that a doctor, greedy doctor, is operating the entire racket. If you look at the problem, this is unfortunate that in India today, a person is forced to sell an organ just for 3 lakhs rupees. Suppose I need money and I get very easy loan by the government or by some other source, why will I sell my kidney?
Right.
So the underlying problem is poverty. On one hand, there is poverty. A person is so poor that he is ready to commit suicide for lack of few thousand rupees. So number one is that he is lacking money.
Right.
The problem number 2 is that kidney patients who are on dialysis, they are dying on installments. They are every week dying. They are going closer to death. And there are not enough organs. Cadaveric program is dismal in India. As far as life related is concerned, in our era, we have nuclear families now. Families are small, who will donate?
Right.
So one person is desperate for his life to survive, he wants kidney. Another person is desperate for money, and there is a loophole in the law. Law says that anybody can donate his kidney to anybody, provided there was no financial transaction. And as long as these three things would be there, such kind of rackets will keep on flourishing. I think we have to have a look on the entire issue rather than concentrating at these hospitals and doctors alone.
Right. Aishwarya Bhati, the law is probably not stringent, or it is probably not effective enough on hospitals and organizations and medical institutes that indulge in this gross practice. You know, you are an expert in law. What do you think should be appended in order for organizations and individuals who indulge in such an activity, a punishment so severe that it does not happen again and it becomes a deterrent?
See, Vineet, I firmly believe that this is one of those, problems that plague our country, our society in general, is not one of those issues where the laws are lacking. There is an act which is in place. The act is very stringent. It makes all sale of organs completely illegal. It prescribes a punishment. The amendment that was brought in 2014 makes the punishment higher. So this is not a case where we have a lack of law, and that is why the problem is. The problem really is with implementation. And the implementation is a problem because of the situation that we have, because of the extremes that exist in our country, because there is lust for money on one side and there is desperation to save life on the other side. So
Okay.
this is a classic case of, a situation where the malady is not because the law does not exist, but the malady is because there is an exploitative system that is in place, and that system, it is difficult for doctors. There is a protection under the Supreme Court judgment that FIRs against doctors are not registered normally and, as a matter of routine. If you will notice in this case also, there was a preliminary inquiry that was set up, and that inquiry was of doctors itself. So only after a finding is arrived at in that preliminary inquiry as to the culpability of the criminal culpability of the doctors, only then a case is registered. So I don't really think there is a problem with the laws. The problem really is with the implementation and with the social structure that we have.
Okay, you mentioned that there's something wrong, with the social structure in our society, and Dr. Jitender and Aishwarya Bhati also concurred to that opinion. And Mr. Kakkar, there are scouts, there are touts who, look for potential donors and recipients. I was just reading a report, and they look for people. There is this racket in Gujarat and Maharashtra. They look for people through agencies, through credit agencies as well, who are highly in debt, who have no source of repaying that debt, and they use their vulnerability to exploit and expedite these kidney rackets. What do you know of this, and what can be done about this menace?
Look, before I really dwell on your question, I would like to take the issue that doctor has raised, the nephrologist has raised. I think there's no point saying that because they cannot get loan and therefore and they need money and they indulge in all this. The poor may be doing that, but what are the doctors for? Where is their ethics? Obviously, they stand to benefit by this nefarious deal that they approve of this. Now, let me tell you, the law is in force. The law was enacted in 1994. It was amended in 2011, and Section 18, 19, 20 is very clear about it that the organ can be donated either by the blood relative or it has to be through nota. There is an organization where people approach and then they distribute it. Now here, blood donation, it is the blood relative where the actual problem arises. And who are the player in this whole thing? The person who, according to the doctor, is so poor that he is ready to donate his organ, in this case the kidney, and then there is a recipient who has the money to buy this. But please don't forget that all this cannot be done without the connivance of the doctors. Now the act says that the nephrologist, I'm talking of the kidney alone, the nephrologist, when he finds that yes, so and so needs kidney replacement of kidney, he approaches the committee of that particular hospital, which comprises of 7 people, of whom 5 are doctors and 2 are government nominees. Now it is these people who have to find out that the one who is donating is a real blood relative or not. It is here that Fortunately, the entire proceedings have to be videographed. Right. Not only that, before the nephrologist really does the operation, he once again has to certify that yes, he is convinced that this so and so is the. So it is those administrators, those touts, those doctors who are unscrupulous that the whole transaction takes place. Right. So, please let's not say that the law is weak. Law is very, very nice. Law is okay. Stringent punishment is there. But then, what do we do when the 3 of them, the tout and the poor patient and a poor donor and the doctors combine in doing an illegal act?
Absolutely. And coming back to you, Dr. Jitender Kumar, these practices, these illegal practices where documents are forged, obviously this cannot be done without forging documents. How can then they be done under the doctor's noses without the higher authorities having any inkling of what's going on? They have to be in on this racket. Something similar happened close to Delhi at Apollo Hospital, where the hospital completely, they washed their hands off this incident. They said that this was a nefarious pact between a few doctors and outside parties. What goes on there? How can it happen without the knowledge of the authorities who run that organization?
The greed of the doctor can never be justified. So I'm not in favor of these activities. That is point number one. Point number two is, I just want to give you a briefing about how the things are done. In my hospital, we deliberately do not have any authorization committee of our own, just to avoid these kind of complications. In each and every case, even if your father is donating for his son, then we take permission from our local government authority.
Right.
Now imagine the patient is from Jharkhand and the supposed donor is his brother or his cousin. Then we will request the authorities in Jharkhand to give the permission after satisfying themselves about the relationship. The same thing holds true in international patients also. Now I write an application to the authorities in Jharkhand. Now they will give permission after justifying or satisfying themselves that okay, this is the relationship. And once they bring the letter to me, then I will ask my local government authorities at Faridabad to give permission. They will do videography, and once they are assured and they give us permission, only then we can go ahead. Now imagine that the cousin, the law says that anybody can donate to anybody just out of act of love also, provided there was no financial transaction. Now this is such a vague thing that even if the financial transaction was there, suppose they took money by cash, and this was not detected by the local authority, and later on this becomes an opportunity for them to keep blackmailing. This is just possible. So we save ourselves by just following the protocols, and as it was told by the learned guests that
Mr. Kakkar, I'll come to you. Aishwarya Bhati, we have been discussing the social structure, the bipolar nature of our society that actually forces people, compels people into selling off their organs so that they can make money. According to a stat, there are about 200,000 people in our country who require kidneys every year, and only 3% of that demand can be met. And out of those 200,000, only 15,000 people can afford this treatment. So when you actually say that there is nothing wrong with the law, I'm not very sure if I agree with you. Because if the law was stringent, if there were provisions made in order to fill this mammoth gap, we wouldn't be having traffickers and touts who are dealing with human body organs.
Vineet, the problem is really, I will reiterate again, is not with the laws, it is with implementation of laws. And implementation of laws is on the shoulders of, of professional doctors who are running these. I mean, Dr. Jitender Kumar is saying it's very convenient that we don't have a committee like that in their hospital, so they depend on the government, but that's really not the way to do it. If you're running a hospital, it is your responsibility to ensure that there's a committee. And let me remind you, this racket, today's racket we are talking about, is of fake donors, etc. But there are umpteen number of FIRs that we are talking about, where surgeries take place and patients don't even know that their organs are not there. So this is a racket, this is a problem that exists. And it's the implementation of laws. See, implementation of laws works on two angles. One angle, I pointed it out.
Aishwarya, let me ask you a question. Aishwarya, let me ask you a question. In March of 2016, a 4.5-year-old girl was operated upon for another reason. And 2 months later, her father found out that one of her kidneys was missing. Who do you think should be held responsible for this? Should the hospital be held responsible for this? She woke up and she was without a kidney. And if the hospital is found responsible, why hasn't the government set a precedent? Why haven't they cancelled their license or the right to operate?
And Vineet, what is the unfortunate part? Unfortunate part is that this is not an isolated incident. There are incidents like this, and kidney is not something that somebody can take out of your pocket or take out of your wardrobe. Kidney is something that only, or other organs are something that only a professional doctor, a professional surgeon can take out during an operation. So if implementation of laws is poor in these cases, so everybody thinks that we can go ahead with impunity and, nothing will happen. A criminal or an accused, whoever is committing a crime, never thinks that, what is the punishment prescribed for these acts in the penal code. They only think that I'm not going to be caught, I'm going to be scot-free, I will get away with it. This getting away with it syndrome itself is a serious problem. And here is the situation that we are dealing with, not, your ordinary run-of-the-mill kind of accused persons. These are professional doctors without whom this kind of a crime cannot be committed. And obviously the slackness with the police authorities deal with doctors on issues like this has to change. We have to see a complete change of mindset. These are organs, these are human organs. Absolutely. That we are talking about. This
and Mr. T.R. Kakkar is probably in a better position to tell us that what does the police do about these rogue doctors who actually violate the pledge that they have taken at the time they received that degree. But we will come to Mr. T.R. Kakkar in some time. Let me get a caller in. I have Manish who's giving us a call from Mumbai. Manish.
Hello.
Manish, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm watching the debate and I heard one of the guests in the panel saying at the onset of the debate that the law is strict. I firmly believe the law is not strict at all, and maybe Dr. Jitender Kumar can weigh on this, because even if during a stage of brain death, for example, even if the family gives the consent to that the body can be handed over to them, the body cannot be handed over to them because a doctor cannot legally withdraw the ventilator life supporting system. So this saves a part for the scarcity of the organ transplantation and maybe one of the reasons for the back marketing there.
Dr. Kumar, maybe you're in a better position to answer this gentleman's question.
No, he is correct that there is a scarcity of organ. There is a very brief period between your brain death
in AIMS, let me append his question. In AIMS, there were 200 people who were found to be brain dead, and only 10 of those people were, able to give their organs away to people who were really needy. What about the 190? The term family consent came into the picture. All the other countries around the globe have actually evolved a lot when you talk about family consent. What happens in India when a family consent is sought to donate somebody's organs?
No, actually there is hindrance from the family part because of religious background or because of so many other things. People think that they will not like to give their organs after they die, because if it is Hindu, he will like to get burned, presuming that probably that is the way to heaven. Or in all the religious sects also, some or other there is a mindset that people do not like to donate their organs after their own death. And as you rightly mentioned, that if all these people who are in a position to donate, who have lived their life, suppose I die and my organ can survive after my death, then this can definitely...
But isn't this the government's job to promote and actually help people with chronic ailments figure out a way they can help unrelated people and not have the family consent impediment?
No, government is doing a lot of work on this regards. We are trying to educate. If you look at the FM
But the trafficking is, only getting bigger by every year.
No, but if you hear the channels, FM channels nowadays, then the 13th August is actually the organ donation day, and there is a lot of campaign going on in radio regarding motivating the people regarding this donation. In South India somehow the cadaveric program has matured a lot. In North India some or other it's picking up. So it will take some time before that mindset change.
Okay, let's get a caller in. We have Chandra Prakash who's giving us a call from Kurukshetra. Chandra Prakash, go ahead. What do you have to say? And thank you for calling.
मल्होत्रा जी नमस्कार।
नमस्कार।
पृथ्वी पर अगर कोई भगवान का रूप है तो वो डॉक्टर है, मगर छोटी सी बात कह के अपने मंतव्य को जाहिर करूंगा। हर चीज का सौदा होता है, हर चीज यहाँ पर बिकती है, धनवानों के आगे निर्धन क्या, और सारी खुदाई बिकती है। सयादों की इस बस्ती में अनजान को बेचा जाता है, ईमान को बेचा जाता है। ये गीत कंतरा लिखने वाले कवि ने आज से 50 वर्ष पूर्व अपने विवेकी मन से जान लिया था कि भारत के भविष्य, भारत के डॉक्टरों का भविष्य क्या है। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Okay, that was very moving, Chandra Prakash. Mr. Kakkar, coming back to you, we were discussing, and even Aishwarya mentioned that there has always been, a problem with the implementation of the law. But, even when you apply, for a procedure like a kidney donation, there is a committee, there is a set committee that goes through the documents. They scan the documents, and if there is any sort of forgery or if there's any sort of malintent, they usually impede, and the transaction and the process doesn't take place. How high up in the medical organization, department, industry is this mess?
Now look, this somebody was saying that there is shortage. I know there is shortage of these organs. There may be acute shortage here, but the shortage is abroad also. Otherwise, foreigners won't be coming to India for getting these organs replaced. Now, coming back to there is a committee. Committee is constituted by the doctors of the same hospital plus 2 government officials. Some of them are there, some of them are not there. It is in this committee that the actual hera-pheri takes place. They all know what is happening. Just because everybody wants to make money there, so a consent is given that this donor is a real donor, and he's really giving it out of love or out of religious sentiments or whatever is there. You see. And now let me tell you the recent case of Apollo. I learned, maybe I may be wrong. Fortunately, the videographing of the entire proceedings is to be done, and in the videograph somewhere, a lady who donated, who's from the northeast, she was brought in as wife of the recipient. Now, when she was asked what's your name, she gave her original name because she didn't know. Then somebody is asking, no, you are Misra, Mrs. Misra. Now, at that stage, they should have stopped this year. But everybody wants to make money, as I say. As far as law is concerned, law is fairly good. It is only the implementation. The implementation is also done. But where all these things take place in a closed door. And it is only some time that you come to know that such a thing is happening, either by accident or by somebody reports to you. Otherwise, it's all closed door. And when everybody is agreed to share the booty,
okay,
then an accident alone can tell us that what has happened was not correct. Right. It is then that the action is taken.
Okay, let's get a caller in. We have Gurtum Banerjee, who's giving us a call from Kolkata. Gurtum, thank you for calling and go ahead.
एक्चुअली मैं चाहता हूँ कि हम लोग जो ऑर्गन डोनेट करना चाहते हैं वो डायरेक्ट डोनेट करने के लिए हम लोग को तकलीफ हो जाता है। हेलो, हाँ
बोलिए गुरुतुम, बोलिए हम सुन पा रहे हैं आपको।
क्योंकि हम लोग जब डोनेट करते हैं ऑलरेडी प्लान करके रखते हैं, मगर रिलेटिव लोग उसको, कोई अदर रिलेटिव उसको डिस्टर्ब फील करता है। मेरा एक मामा ससुर थे। हेलो,
बोलिए हम सुन पा रहे हैं आपको, बोलते रहिए।
मेरा एक्चुअली मामा ससुर थे जो कि ऑलरेडी डोनेट किया था, मगर उसका अपना रिलेटिव जो है वो उसको करने नहीं दिया और उसको आग में लगा दिए, जबकि उसने अपने वाइफ को डोनेट किए थे। तो हमारा सामने हुआ था। मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि एक ऐसा नियम बनाया जाए कि एक बार जो कोई भी चाहे उसका रिलेटिव जो उसको मतलब ऑर्गन डोनेट करने के लिए एक ही आदमी है तो उसको फोर्स में अवेयरनेस ऐसा होना चाहिए कि ऑर्गन डोनेशन एक आत्मनिर्भर दर्शक होना चाहिए उसका।
Right, and okay, good inputs, Gurtam. And Aishwarya, coming back to you, the trade of organ donation, it's very sophisticated. As per my knowledge and some research that we did, that there is a village in Gujarat by the name of Pivlav, and a lot of people are willing to sell their kidneys in this particular village for as low as 1.5 lakh and as high as 2.5 lakh. And not only this, there is a multi-level marketing system that has also been introduced into this racket, that if you introduce a donor to any of these stouts, you get a referral fee, a premium of 25,000 rupees.
There you go. Just look at those figures. I think it is absolutely shameful that we have rackets like this, which are so systematic, which are almost like syndicatized. And, you know, Kakkar Saab was also mentioning that all this happens behind closed doors. Everybody is a winner here. So things are not going to come out in the open. There is no victim here. If everybody is happy, then it's very difficult for these cases to come out if everything is happening by consent. But let me, you know, draw your attention and the viewers' attention to a story that was in the headlines in today's paper about this woman who was getting married in Pennsylvania. And she got, you know, the man who received her father's heart, she requested him and he flew down to walk her down the aisle because her father was not there anymore. And, you know, the man who got the heart of the father actually walked down the bride on the aisle. So I think we need to, you know, make sure that the shortage is not there. The awareness campaigns should be so high. The
well
level
said,
of donation, because
I
we
hate
have
to
no
interject
dearth
you,
of,
but
you know, people
we have
who
a
are-
paucity of time, and that was a very good and touching and a positive example by Aishwarya Bhati, Mr. Kakkar and Dr. Jitender Kumar. Thank you so much for being with us and taking our time to be on current issues. That is all we have on the show. We'll see you tomorrow. Keep watching News World India. Thank you.